Good afternoon, hello. Welcome to our very first webinar from the Energy Delta Institute. My name is Leon Stille. I'm on behalf of the Energy Delta Institute here. This is our first webinar, like I just said, and so I hope there are no technical difficulties as of yet. It's good to explain a little bit what we're going to do. We're going to have a discussion here together with Cyril van Wittershoven, who is a senior expert from the company Verosi, international energy expert and on global risks perspective. First he's going to tell you something about our very nice topic, resilience in energy systems, and what the coronavirus is doing with the world at the moment and how that impacts the energy system and on OPEC Plus as well. After he is giving his talk, then we are open for discussion. There already are some questions that some of you posted in the beginning that we will discuss first. And then you can use the chat function in GoToWebinar to also ask questions during the talk, and they will appear, for me they will appear here on the screen, and we'll continue our discussion for as long as it takes. So I hope you all have a good time, and I would like to give the floor to Cyril in this unprecedented times of disruption. Please enlighten us on how to deal with it.
Okay. Thank you. What I am going to try to do is give a slight update on the major issues, which are the virus, economic growth, OPEC Plus, oil prices, and the effects on investments. I hope that you will be able to see the screen as well as we are, because sometimes the issue with the screens are an issue for all. Well, we all know the world has been hit by the coronavirus, or as US President Trump explicitly is repeating, it's called the China virus. Well, we are calling it corona, and the effects are extremely high. It's an unprecedented influx of effects on everything we do. Not only we are seeing a huge spread of the virus throughout the world. The figures that I'm showing are the figures that were shown yesterday, so do not see them as finite. And the effects that we all are experiencing, and one of the reasons we are here behind a screen, we are not able to go anywhere else. We are blocked, we are locked in, we are not able to go to our offices, we are not able to fly anymore. So that has a huge impact on not only how we live and work, but also in the end on how our future is going to be. Then we have been hit at the same time by the effect which we also did not expect, that the energy markets, which are already being constrained and hit by economic influences due to the virus, now also have been hit by the fact that the main oil and gas, oil regulating body called OPEC or OPEC Plus, including Russia, have decided a week and a half ago that they do not agree anymore on how to regulate. They have stepped into a phase that they want to regain market share. and that at all cost. Now, if you take this at a time that the world is hit by economic blockades, economic crisis, financial constraints, all already putting a huge damper on demand for oil and gas. And you see that the OPEC Plus approach, which has held oil prices and indirectly still gas also at a certain amount of prices, we are now entering, like what Captain Kirk would say, we are entering into an uncharted future, uncharted environment. And two of the main players are going to be hit by their own actions. Officially, OPEC Plus approach in time of a crisis would have been to take out more oil to keep certain levels of prices that we want to. By doing now the opposite, A, by focusing on market share, and B, by so-called hitting on US shale, we are sitting in a time that virus, economic growth, and a huge influx of additional volumes of oil and gas are presenting a rather toxic mix for not only for oil sector and gas sector, but even for economies, because the theory that a low oil price is good for the economy is only there when the economy is growing, when it's stable. Then it has a positive effect on growth. At this time, it could even have the opposite effect, because the fear that's already in global economy and financial markets. And do not forget the position of the US dollar, because oil is being traded still in US. When oil prices go up, the position of the US dollar becomes stronger. If this is now the opposite, we do not know where it's going to head. Now, I've been asked to talk about resilience in our systems. In time of stability, our system is reasonably resilient. The problem is, when you want to have resilient, that is not being focused on when everything is going right. The resilience of our system, our global system, our globalization-based system, our energy system, our trading system, our financial system, our transport system, is already showing we do not have yet the resilience that we were thinking we had. Not only countries are blocking export and imports, they are blocking transfer of people, we are blocking airports and ports, but also we have been, or we have become too dependent on what I would say the spider in the web of globalization, which was China. We have moved everything to China. We have put our production in China. the major demand for oil and gas was again China. And when something happens in China, not only China is hit, we all are hit.
Yeah, the whole world is in turmoil. Yeah. Yeah.
So our resilience should maybe not become a spider web approach, that everything is connected to everything, but that is becoming a starfish approach. Why a starfish? And that's not my idea, because there is another thinker. A starfish has the opposite what a spider web has. If you kill the spider, China, the web has no function anymore. If you cut a part of a starfish, you get two starfishes. So if you build a system in which, yes, everything is still connected, but everything, when a certain part of your system is being hit, the rest is still functioning as it should be, it would be a much more healthy.
Maybe just to interrupt you a little bit, but does it mean you don't have a lot of redundancy then in the system? I mean, would you then not have a situation where you make everything 2 times, 4 times, 5 times for this eventuality only?
The first idea will be just to make a system extremely resilient. It will cost you more.
Yeah.
However, it also can have the advantage, and no, I'm not going to promote US President Trump's Make America Great Again idea, but in the end, if we are spreading our production systems really over the whole world, our total resilience becomes stronger.
Yeah. Which we see now as an advantage, of course, in this crisis.
Now, due to this,
yes, exactly.
We are realizing that focusing only on a cheap production in one certain center in time of crisis, it's an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
For the energy demand, the end result should be not that the demand for energy in the end will grow exponentially, because what we do not do anymore in one place, we are just transferring it into another area.
Okay.
Now, why am I talking about this? Because whatever we do in the US, in Europe, in the Netherlands, in China, Saudi, Russia, we are connected to the whole world. We trade with the whole world. We move things from A to B. What the current crisis is teaching us, if we expect things just to be moving in time of crisis, certain things are going to block it. And that's not only oil, because when we talk about choke points and security, we always say that's oil, and oil is
the global
is the issue. It's the same for chips, it's the same for mobile phones or TVs or whatever. Transfer goes from A to B, and the products built in A need to go to B. That's our system.
Just one moment. If you have questions from the audience, you can ask them in the chat. So there's a chat function in GoToWebinar, so we can continue, and then afterwards I can ask them to Cyril. Sorry, Cyril. Go ahead.
Okay. when we now look at the energy system, even before the Corona crisis, and even before that OPEC Plus was hitting us, the whole sector already was under pressure. Old-fashioned black energy, traditional energy was already hit by a huge impact, what I would call the renewable divestment Greta Thunberg effect. Oil and gas in general, especially IOCs and independents, were feeling the increased pressure that society wants to change.
Yeah.
Activist shareholders want to change also what oil and gas is doing, and at the same time, return on investments and your dividends of oil and gas companies were already hit since years. Shares of oil and gas, energy, old-fashioned energy companies were the laggards on the stock exchanges. This was one of the reasons that pension funds, institutional investors were getting wary and said, why am I going to keep to Shell or Exxon when I can make more out of an investment somewhere else? This, in a time that the global economy is under pressure, and we have a virus that blocks all, could lead to a dramatic change in how we are going to look after everything is being solved. And when that is, I don't know,
Nobody knows.
Glass ball is not showing it yet. I hope it will, but after everything returns to normal, which is pre-corona normal, decisions are needing to be made. Are we going to continue with oil and gas investments? Are we going to put it in renewables? And do we need it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is it already saturated to a certain level? Yeah.
The saturation is reasonably there. There is already, at this moment, there is too much oil and too much gas on the market. For your info, if OPEC Plus will continue the strategy they hold right now, most probably there will be between 1 billion and maybe even 1.8 billion barrels of extra oil in storage. For every investor, for every shareholder, keep that in mind. The price of oil and gas will not go up in Q2, Q3.
It will only go down, you think?
It will go down right now, and it will very slowly try to find a new ceiling. Q4, if Corona does not survive this summer, and some people are saying it, but then my question is, it's hot in Iran and in Saudi, and there's also the virus. If we see a lower effect of the virus after the summer, maybe oil prices will go up, will not hit 40, will not hit higher than that.
So you will remain 40 as the most positive.
Too much cheap oil.
Anyway, in any case.
Any case, we are not going to be able in 2020 to remove the extra oil. Saudi, Russia, the UAE, US is keeping flowing to the market.
Any guess on how low it can go? Price? What do you think? I know it's looking.
If I would rationally know that, I would not be sitting here, but would be sitting on my yacht in Nice, because then I would have sold my house, put it in futures.
Exactly. Yeah.
There are indications it could hit levels below 20. And that means oil and gas is in deep trouble. The ship has hit a rock that has been created by the people that are needing to have the revenues from oil and gas. Will it hit US shale? Yeah, because
that's also a possibility.
everyone now says, will it hit US shale? Yes, it hits US shale, but it will take longer than we expect. US shale is not going to die in 2020.
No.
US shale is going to be transported to the IC unit of the oil and gas hospital. Yeah? But the breathing apparatus is already there, because US shale has hatched their production, and what people do not understand, there's US elections. US President Trump wants to be re-elected.
No fail scenario.
No fail scenario for US shales, because these are the guys he really needs to have. Yeah? Now, overall, the situation is dire. It's even more dire than on this sheet, because again, this is one from yesterday. Every single stock exchange is showing figures that are in red. Not any single economical sector is showing green, except maybe the small ones that are using the...
or the retail or the thuisbezorgd, those kind of companies.
Oil and gas already was hit before. Returns of shares of oil and gas on the stock exchange were negative. But the same you can say for renewables. The whole energy sector has not been having a very good time. And that was already before the crisis. With some exemptions, but the overwhelming majority of oil and gas and energy has not had a very good 2019. 2020 is going to be a slaughterhouse.
And that's all because of the pricing, all because of what happened before.
Pricing, the returns are not okay. Investors are wary to go either in oil and gas and even in renewables, because yes, there are more projects, but if you look at the global volume of investments in renewables, 2019 was the first year that investment levels were almost at
stable
level. So to grow, it's simple. You need more. Yeah?
Agree.
Does the virus have an effect on renewables? Because I always am hearing when oil and gas is hit, that's good for renewables. In the end, the first signs we see for renewables is that most projects in China are showing a crisis situation. The amount of projects expected to be put in place or to be decided on, FIDs, are being delayed. The first research done by Bloomberg this week shows a steep decline in what is to be expected in 2020. And we are not even yet there. Yeah?
But it's in general, right? Like you said, it's all the products. If
It's-
there's no money,
No,
there's
no.
there's a recession.
Yeah.
Everything is off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the article, you can go on Bloomberg and you find it. Is it good for the environment? Every single major financial crisis or major crisis in the world has made the world more clean. The air has become more clean. Will it stay like this? Every single financial crisis in history that we at least know of, the effect was only for a very short amount of time. So to count on the effect that the world will change after Corona dramatically, history, and that is the only facts we have. Yeah?
Yeah.
Historic fact shows these effects are temporary and should not be put into an Excel sheet and then the line is going straight how you want it.
No.
We do not know.
No.
And that is where I would
Yeah.
like to end my talk. So
Okay, great. Thank you very much for this insight. Like I said, there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of people asking questions. So already I just discussed
Shoot.
some of them.
Shoot.
And let's continue with that. The impact on the coronavirus on renewables, but you already mentioned that a little bit. Like, okay, if the economy goes down, then all bets are off.
Yeah.
Also with renewables. But is there any positive impact as well to be expected? Can it, for example, be that because we have this global interlinking system of energy at the moment, where there are other risk factors also in place, that domestic energy can make a surge, that people feel, okay, great, let's do it ourselves? Is that something to be expected?
there are signs that there is a larger interest for decentralized energy.
Yeah.
However,
For both, yeah.
in the end, like my grandmother always said, you are only able to spend your euro only once.
Yeah.
So at present, I think most of the projects that we have been even planning
Yeah.
are going to be on hold for at least 1-2 years.
Yeah.
And we need to see then,
For both traditional and renewable, doesn't even matter.
for traditional and renewable. And then we will need to see what will be the negative impact of the huge amount of money that the US and the ECB and the Dutch, etc., is now pumping into the economy. Because in the end, we will need to repay.
Yeah.
We will have a transition. The European Union will be rather lenient to keep to their own rules.
Yeah.
But in the end, what we spend right now on necessary issues will be at cost to other future things.
Yeah, logical.
And then we will need to make the choice. Also keep in mind cheap oil and gas.
Yeah, everywhere.
There is cheap oil and gas.
Yeah.
Cheap oil and gas means the consumer who is already being hit will need to make the choice, am I going to go for solar, wind or whatever, or am I going to go for my traditional
Yeah,
energy, which is at this moment
also available.
extremely cheap.
Yeah, and will remain cheap for a while. Like
Will
you said.
remain
Perhaps
cheapish.
$20, cheapish. Yeah.
Cheapish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe to go a little bit further into detail on that, do you foresee in the coming months or maybe another time frame any understanding between Russia and Saudi Arabia on this and US shale
Oh,
on this war?
There are growing indications that OPEC advisors and Russian advisors are talking.
Yeah.
There are also growing signs that Russia is slowly understanding that maybe their chess play they made has been countered by an Arabic Tawila move, and that the costs are higher than the gains, because for Russia it's not only that they lose revenues in oil, they also are losing revenues in gas, because some of their long-term
Still linked.
is still linked. And at the same time, OPEC members like Saudi is getting into a direct fight with Russia on their normal historical markets.
Yeah, on the market share.
Russian oil went for a very large part to Europe.
Yeah.
Saudi has said, my new oil will hit Europe, and I'm cheaper than Russian oil.
Yeah.
So there is the need. Both do understand a year of this
Yeah. Disastrous. Right?
will not bring them to their knees, but it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not gonna get them the result they officially are saying. US shale is gonna survive 2020. 2021 is something else.
Yeah. Yeah. After
But
the election. that you
After
mentioned.
the election,
Yeah.
if you get Democrats, US shale is over.
Yeah.
And if you get Trump, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. It can go both ways.
It can
We
go
have seen with
both
Trump all
ways.
the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just how long do you think if Russia and Saudi Arabia really come to a fight, so there's no understanding, all bets are off. In theory, who's going to last longer? Who's going to win this?
Saudi.
Saudi?
Yeah,
They
and
can-
that's because Saudi's position is stronger, due to the fact that they have a stronger financial reserve. They can be extremely flexible with their planned economic diversification
Yeah.
programs. They can hit easily the government budget by cutting even further on subsidies. And they are more interlinked to the international financial markets.
Okay.
Saudi is able
To borrow more, basically.
to get financing for their debt. Russia is under sanctions.
Yeah. Financial center.
Russian options are much less than for Saudi.
Yeah. Maybe linked again on the financial stuff. I mean, apart from this fight and OPEC plus, and we already talked a little bit like would renewables be a positive impact on this for the renewables, but there's also things planned like the Green Deal, like massive investment programs to sort of completely turn around the economy, the energy sector in Europe, and there are more of this kind of programs that are going on all over the world. Do you foresee that there's, of course there's an impact, but can it be bent back to more investment in the end for this kind of green deals?
If I would be the advisor to my fellow regional countryman Frans Timmermans,
Yeah.
I would say if you're able to take a very long holiday. And that's because the European Union is not able to spend any on the Green Deal. And that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And they are now entering into supporting every single EU member to even survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
my grandmother, I'm either going to do this
Yeah, you can only spend your euro once. Yeah.
all that. And then, after this virus, we need to recover. Yes, maybe it would be an extremely good move to invest in further energy transition.
Yeah.
But due to this economical crisis and cheap energy,
Yeah.
we need to check that we are doing an energy transition and not an energy revolution. Western Europe is able to maybe even do the Green Deal. At this moment, look at Eastern Europe, which is the European Union.
Yeah.
They are not able to do both.
No, true.
Yeah?
Yeah, but you can also think that if you have this price, the price is already low for more traditional oil and gas. So these companies will remain having trouble being competitive, being
Yeah.
profitable. So this can also be a situation. Then it's the alternative, like jumping on more on the traditional part, is also not a feasible option
The main
for consumers, maybe, but not for.
I would not like to be the CEO of Shell or of Exxon.
Yeah.
No, because every choice I am making is going to be not a very good choice for your shareholders.
Yeah.
In the end, if they keep to the traditional approach we do oil and gas, somewhere is gonna end, and a growing majority of your shareholders is not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you are going to do more into renewables, your return on investment at this moment
Yeah.
is not extremely attractive. Let's just say that.
So both is
You still can make money on shares in oil and gas. The return on your shares or the yield in renewables, especially right now, is going to be under stress, even under subsidized projects. Where you are seeing a major change is that I think Corona and what OPEC Plus does right now will maybe even be the first nail in the coffin of independent and IOCs.
Yeah, yeah.
The only ones that still have the cash to grow, to keep a project afloat, and are the owners of the reserves. Because IOCs in majority have not a hell of a lot of real reserves. They are allowed to produce the reserves of somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Saudi, UAE, so Aramco, ADNOC, QP, KOC, etc.
Yeah.
These are the guys that will maybe come out stronger.
Because they have the reserves. Yeah,
They
yeah.
have the reserves, they have the finances,
Yeah.
the cost of production is extremely low, and it's their assets.
Yeah.
It's theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah? So,
But could there be, if you mention this type of companies, so there's already been a sort of a trend going on before Corona, that oil companies or international oil companies are also investing a little bit more and more in renewable projects. If they have this base, could it be a good move for them to increase that investment more in the renewables? Because they already have this base, prices are low, difficult to make money out of oil, yes, but they can maintain it for a while, like you said. Because one of our listeners said the Financial Times today wrote about this. Is it a better opportunity for oil companies since the returns on oil is lower? But you also mentioned the return on renewables also under pressure.
yeah,
Well, what do you think of that? Is that an option?
it's the rational choice in this is extremely hard.
Yeah.
If you look at it from a holder position, it's going to be extremely hard to explain why you are leaving oil and gas, even at low prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the upward potential is extremely high. Yeah, and you put the small amount of money that you're earning right now
Back
into
the
something
Yeah.
that has not yet a history of making the same returns or the same yields as Shell or Exxon or whoever.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And
but that's
explain
new, yeah.
that to your other
Yeah.
shareholders.
Yeah. Yeah, not taking into account political choices and other things. but
That's
separate. Yeah.
something else.
Yes.
And that's why I say, due to whatever is going on and due to nationalistic tendencies,
Yeah.
I think the time the next years will tell us, but the time in oil and gas is right for the NOCs,
Yeah.
because their choices are not based on shareholders that are sitting in London or
No, based on the
Amsterdam
company, on
or
the-
Heerlen
yeah,
or wherever. No, they are, even if they are listed,
Yeah,
even if they are listed,
Yeah.
the main shareholder is a certain young guy that decides the price is going up or down.
Yeah, exactly. True. How about hydrogen? Hydrogen is something coming up, very young market, no market, so to say, except if you count hydrogen used in chemistry and refining.
Yeah.
There are lots of projects that are going to, well, at least they were planned to happen with regards to blue hydrogen with CCS
Yeah.
or with green hydrogen. How do you see that happening?
That's a very tricky one for me, yeah? You know that.
I don't.
Thank you, Leon. Okay, I'm gonna be the rational, political, correct one now. I think there is a future for hydrogen.
Okay.
If this is going to be the fuel of choice for the future, all bets are still open.
Yeah.
At this moment, you can invest in it if you take the risk that it's not going to bring you real cash, real good yield in the next 10 to 15 years. And then I'm very optimistic.
Which this timeline might even shift somewhat now
This
because of this
timeline,
economic slump. Yeah.
there's no cash.
No.
So everything that is expensive,
Yeah.
and oil and gas is cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
And solar in certain regions.
It's also cheap. Yeah.
Also?
It's cheap. Yeah.
So we are in a crisis recovery mood.
Yeah.
New choices that we are going to choose for are not going to be the one that will put an extremely high pressure on our finances.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is still a thingy that we need to look at, because with every single new technology development, and we both worked at a certain organization, we know to do the discovery of a new technology
Yeah.
or a new idea. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Implementation, scale up. That's
To
the problem.
scale it up,
Yeah.
implement,
Yeah.
and after that find somebody that wants it, it takes longer than 10 to 15 years, if ever.
Yeah.
So also this, keep doing it, do every single research in energy
Yeah.
and in storage.
And then,
But-
then these projects will, because of course, if you take the example of hydrogen, there needs to be a large scale of this technology to bring the cost down. So that we were at the beginning of starting that, so to say.
Yeah.
That is probably going to fall behind, but then it is very important that, for example, European Union financing,
Yeah.
the R&D financing
Yeah.
will remain there, because otherwise
Yes.
you throw away this opportunity.
And don't let it go again to Asia.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let it go to Asia.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good
Yeah.
point. To see if we can keep this kind of technology development here and production
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I think that for now we have some more. We have lots of more questions actually, but well, time is running out a little bit. But we are going to answer these questions ourselves and send them to you. So everybody who had a question, they can look at the answer from what Cyril is giving. Next week, actually, we want to do another webinar, same time, same place, and again, hopefully with Cyril. And then we were going to go more into the financing aspects of it, how this financial system works, also after post-corona, I would say, insofar as you can know these kind of things, of course. Thank you very much for being here.
Okay.
We from the Energy Delta Institute hope you enjoyed this webinar. For us, it's also the first time. Just one last thing, the presentation that Cyril gave is already available on the GoToWebinar. You can download it in one of the tabs on the dashboard. And I would like to wish you all a good afternoon. And you
Okay.
too, Cyril. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.